currently looking at sea ice conditions of and around Antarctica, past the line of Antarctic. The white is what representing sea ice. Blue is open water. Blue is water that's no longer frozen. Sea ice extent is disproportionately lost, gone. There's not a piece of it remaining. Sea ice extent is what protects Antarctica from rapid loss of ice and snow and water. There's still water that will roll around. It's a spectacular amount. That slide. See here, this was all filled with ice. Gone now. Broken apart, carried out to sea. Now this part here, just south of that, is breaking apart. A lot of fast ice. There's a lot of ice that's broken up. That gets long cracks in it that spread out, and that ice gets moved out in currents that flow around Antarctica. It's starting to get it to be more of an area that's like trying to find actual sea ice itself. It fails from the bottom up, so as soon as you start seeing the breaking point, it's already too late. You're seeing too much behavior that's in line with a huge melt of massive amounts of the ice. I would have to measure the amount of ice that's missing in states, countries. A lot of open water. No more sea ice here. It should be all sea ice completely. You can see how much revealed Antarctica can we see before we start to panic. How much sea ice is gone should we start to panic? That's a lot of solar rays that aren't being reflected, instead being absorbed and warming the water further and amplifying the problem further. As soon as the sea ice was unable to protect it from the sun any longer, what happened? Right now, I don't see any sea ice. Looking for it, but I don't see it. I see a lot of mountains because Antarctica has some peaks for sure. It's just lots and lots and lots of blue, lots of open water. No. Here's some ice. Is that? Oh. Where is all the sea ice? Where? Where is it? These are the most recent scans. You see how many icebergs there are just from the pieces of ice that used to dominate these regions. All gone. Massive. There's so much ice gone. So much ice. All we can see is open water. Problem. It's a severe problem. There's a lot of fast ice that's moving, but too far off to be considered anything else besides migrating ice. All breaking apart, floating away. I didn't have this up. That's my fault. I was talking, but you couldn't see anything that I was showing for Antarctica because I was going along the sea ice extent of Antarctica. And we can see just the outline of the edge of Antarctica here. And there's sea ice extent is completely missing. Again, we can see more of Antarctica than we could before. make time lapse of this area. Antarctic's sea ice conditions continue to dramatically deteriorate. Let's put this over sea ice. The last sea ice left. Caught between the island and the continent. That looks like sea ice. Might be the only sea ice left around here. Should be showing me more here. There. Yeah, you see all this ice here. It's more molten looking than it's moving. You see this on the surface, water and ice that come off, that slide off, make kind of a wall between the cliff where I'd be coming off of. There's making a dominating area just all the way across the perimeter of Antarctica that's raining ice and debris and water, warm water, down on top of this right here. You think like a cascading sheet of just constant water at different speeds. It's not just always rapid, it can be very slow. But you start to have these formations. If you can see them. Is pretty obnoxious. Is you can see these icebergs here like this created a negative wake. So as they spin around, it's causing to break apart sea ice that's trying to refreeze again. Here is A23A. massive iceberg that's floating into the sea that escaped the line of Antarctic. I don't know if an iceberg has done that yet. I don't think I've heard of it. But this broke loose in the 80s and just recently just accelerated, hundreds and hundreds of kilometers into the open ocean to where it will go now. It'll melt, it'll survive. It's a huge, huge chunk of ice that is 80 kilometers. It is massive and rotating and sailing up to warmer seas. And again, we're just using this to look for sea ice. Looking for sea ice of which we can find very little. This is so far tucked in there. You can see where failure marks happened in this whole area right here. Highlighting. Very little sea ice is still attached to these not seeing any sea ice really. I mean, I'm not exaggerating here. I am not seeing much sea ice, if any at all. I don't know how many times I can go around. These are all within the last 2 weeks, all these slides. And you sea ice, wouldn't think it's refreezing that quickly, but it is. This is massive. There's no more sea ice. We just have these graveyards of icebergs and fast ice all around the place. But all the sea ice looks to be gone. Broken apart, washed away, melted. We're not seeing any. This is Antarctica's continent. But it's held together by sea ice. It's not just one giant lump of land. Antarctica is a giant lump of many lumps. That are all frozen together by skin that's ice. It grows and recedes, but it at least still have a specter of being there, instead of now there's nothing. You see nothing. You see a lot of stress marks, fracture lines all over the place, and huge icebergs just sailing out. This is a big break right here. This will be a big break. It's some that needs to be heard over and over and over again, that Antarctica is melting down. All this fast ice right here, all this slush water, not going to refreeze because it's being carried away from the coldest parts of Antarctica. Like this right here, it's like a broken tooth. You see a deliriously amount of icebergs like this. See? That's not sea ice. Channels all over the place. See here? It's taken over by the currents and taken away before it can refreeze in its proper spots again and again. This water is moving fast. And the air is moving fast. The wind moves fast. This looks like an annihilation happened here. All this complete ice. Complete inverse go back even further to January. Massive. Not seeing any sea ice. I'm just seeing the absence of sea ice. As this will show you, it is a delirious amount of the ice that is gone. That can only be measured in the countries. Like, oh, we have 2 Argentinas of ice missing. This is what it looks like when it's moving. It's broken apart and shattered, rounded off. Not going to refreeze and just sail until it dissipates. A lot of smashed up looking stretches of sea ice, but that's because after it breaks, shatters, you have left with these omblog looking features of ice that just rotate and create a path of non-freezing, because its negative wake is what its tail would be. And as it rotates around, it's causing all the water around it not to refreeze just by the motion, not by warming it, but just by its motion of hitting all the sea ice and keeping it from freezing. As well as the water and ice that comes off the surface of Antarctica into the water that cuts it off there. So this line right here you see, as Antarctica heats up and melts and you have a lot of the snow and ice on top of the continent itself is melting. That's not what we're looking at here. Well, right here we are looking at here. This is Antarctica right here. Coastal shelf. But this is such a strange concept to, but think of like a plastic wrapper. You grab on, it's a spool. Plastic wrap, like you're wrapping like a shipment to be sent out and stuff like that. It's this big spool. Like, now just imagine you grab onto that spool and you hold it, and somebody grabs onto the material and just pulls it down. It just keeps pulling it and pulling it. It just keeps flying just right off to the side of the on the side of the continent. Now what it's doing though is cutting through the surface of the water and the ice, and it's pushing it away. So it's doing a lot of different strange phenomenons all at once, because ice is strange as it is, but everything that's coming off the Antarctica continent itself is creating this clear wall of ice and water that falls off, that bombards everything just off to the side of it. It's not going to refreeze, and it's just going to keep getting pulverized. That's what we're seeing right here. That's why you see so many waves. These look like waves, but they're lines that are being pushed and condensed and contracted. All the sea ice meeting that is going back and forth, bobbing up and down. It's a lot of action. It's a lot of weight. And it's a lot of movement, a lot of motion. This part right here that we're seeing here, it's, you see that's what I mean by its negative wake right here. You see this as the iceberg rotates, it leaves behind Just had to take my medicine without water again. That's what happens. Oh, that. Where's the other one? Front closet. Yeah, many times we go around, it's not going to get any better. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Please, if you haven't already, like the stream, subscribe to the channel. Helps me out immensely. And yeah, this is looking unfortunate. I was hoping for better news, but we'll keep our eyes atop these issues that are rising. All right. Take care.